Hi, this is Nanette Hosenfeld with the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Saturday, June 5th, 2021. Looking at fire potential impacts over the next few days, we are looking at a pretty windy period going into next week. Today, the area that will see the strongest winds is across northwestern Nevada into southwestern Idaho, as well as southern Utah on the Arizona Strip. Today, we're also looking at a pretty large area of the Great Basin that will see temperatures around 15 degrees above normal. We're also expecting to see some isolated wet and dry thunderstorms across portions of the Great Basin. Those areas are highlighted in the yellow dots. And further north, a cold front will bring cooler temperatures to the northern part of the Great Basin. That's the area highlighted in blue. As we move into Sunday, we are looking at a more widespread area of gusty winds. Those wind speeds will be in the 30 to 40 mile an hour range. And then moving into Monday, looking at a similar picture. Over the past 24 hours, there was quite a bit of thunderstorm coverage across the Great Basin. You can see from the lightning map on the right that we did receive a pretty significant amount of lightning with those storms yesterday. The storms were a mix of wet and dry. Some of those thunderstorms did put down some pretty heavy rain. We continue to pick up new fires, and we'll have to watch over the next few days to see what we get from the lightning that occurred yesterday. ERCs continue to rise across much of the Great Basin. The southern part of the area is looking at ERCs in the 80 to 89th percentile range, but generally an upward ERC trend across the area, and we would expect that to continue into next week with the warmer temperatures. Looking at those ERCs in more detail, GB7, which is an area that received quite a bit of lightning yesterday, is above normal as far as those ERCs. And GB29, the Uinta Basin, is also above normal. Satellite this morning shows some clouds across the Great Basin. Those are associated with some moisture that we have lingering underneath the ridge. For today, we have an upper level system moving to the north of the Great Basin. That will bring us our gusty winds, and we have issued a high risk for winds across much of Nevada and southern Utah on the Arizona Strip. We also have a high risk for lightning across eastern Utah today, where those storms are expected to be the driest. If we look at today in more detail, again, you can see with the image on the right, some pretty gusty winds are expected. In addition to those on that map on the right, any storms that develop would have pretty gusty outflow winds associated with them. The image on the left is showing the precipitation amount. Drier air is moving into the northwestern part of the Great Basin, which will really shut down any convection in that area, but we are expecting another day of showers and thunderstorms with the greatest concern across eastern Utah. As we move into Sunday, we still keep that low pressure system to our northwest. As a result, we'll see more widespread wind on Sunday. You can see a pretty large portion of the area is highlighted with that high risk for winds on Sunday. If we look at that in more detail, the image on the right is showing expected wind gusts today, generally in the 30 to 40 mile an hour range, although some wind gusts could reach up to 45 miles an hour. Much drier air moving into place on Sunday, and that'll really decrease the coverage of thunderstorms on Sunday. As we move into Monday, again, we just keep that weather system to our northwest. That's going to not make too much progress through next week, and that's just going to result in afternoon winds across much of the Great Basin through next week. For Monday, you can see that there's a high risk again for much of Nevada and western Utah. Looking at that in more detail, you can see those wind gusts on the map on the right. Again, pretty impressive wind gusts expected on Monday. Those gusts as high as 45 or 50 miles an hour. Much drier air will be in place on Monday, and really little is expected in the way of thunderstorms. In the next 3 days, any precipitation that we receive will be associated with thunderstorms, and mainly across the eastern part of the area. As we move into Tuesday, you can see, again, a pretty static pattern. Not too much is changing. Expecting pretty widespread gusty winds on Tuesday as that low-pressure system stays to the west of the area. Then moving into Wednesday, that upper low begins to move through the Great Basin, shifting the area of high winds a little further east. You can see that Utah will bear the brunt of the winds on Wednesday. And moving into Thursday, again, expecting to see gusty winds across much of the area on Thursday. Finally, on Friday, again, a really similar pattern, and if models continue to look this way, I would imagine that we'll be issuing a high risk into Friday. So really, very windy period moving into next week. Almost all 7 days, we're expecting to see gusty winds. The 7-day period, again, not much in the way of precipitation other than what we see in the next few days from thunderstorms. Finally, looking at the 8 to 14-day outlook from the Climate Prediction Center, they are calling for warmer and drier conditions for much of the Great Basin. However, that above normal area of precipitation across the southern U.S. Is promising. It points to the potential for the monsoon a little longer term. This still would be quite early for that, but it's good to see that show up on the map there. So that's it as far as the briefing. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. Our information is on the screen, and you can also find us on Twitter. Thanks.